you don't see it. So the brightest part of the photo definitely is the sky, but we don't care because the sky is
overblown.
The same color.
Same brightness level all the way through, right? And then they become the biggest, the ones that are in focus. And because this is no longer a problem, they become the brightest. And there is not a single part of their bodies that are burned with sunlight, even though it was the worst lighting in the world. Nothing. This photo, I have to admit, took me a little while to come up with it. Like I was seriously like looking at it and thinking I need to just, you know that lazy Susan thing? I was just like lazy Susaning this all day long. I was just like, well, for 30 seconds really, but that's a lot for me, right? I was just like, we need to turn your face. I saw the spill of sun into her face. I was like, telling the groom, you have to dig your face deeper into it to hide that sunspot. I didn't tell him why, I just told him to do it. And then at the end, you see how his face is pretty deep in there? He was not that deep, he was kind of separated a little bit. So I was like, deeper, deeper. And he was like, I'm pretty deep. I was like, just a little more deeper. And then that cleaned every little section that could have touched their face. So this photo, sometimes people think, oh, you had all this equipment and diffusers and lights. And I'm like, no, I had the camera and the worst lighting situation and no diffuser. And it still turns out this way with 2 people. Okay, so these are kind of things. Okay, I took this photo in, I forgot where, Oaxaca, Mexico. Oaxaca, Mexico. Yay! I took this photo to show an example why students or photographers, when they're trying to learn, they go to the shady area all the time. Have you guys done that before?
Yeah.
Like you look for the shady area, like sun, oh, shade. Everybody come over here. Come to the shade, everybody, right? And then what happens with shade? What is the color temperature of shade? It's cool. It's cool, it's ugly, it's flat. It doesn't do you any favors. It's like you being an architect and you're like, let's use plastic for the structure of the building. Yeah, because what is the structure of all photography? Light. So why would you use the worst possible light as the framework for your photograph? Right? Shade is your friend if you use it with the right reflector from the ground. Or if you can combine a reflector from somewhere, get a sunspot, and then put the reflector in that sunspot and reflect light right into them, right? Remember when I explained that little section when there's shade, and then there's a little line where the sun comes through? And then I said to stand close to the line of shade, stand as close as possible to the sun. And if you stand further back from that line, you start getting darker and darker. So that reflective light's not getting to your face as much anymore, right? Just kidding. That's a lot of people watching me drink something. What do you think of the lighting here?
It's very dark.
It's dull.
It's flat.
Mm-hmm. Does that look like you're a master? No. Now, Nikki, if you were to look at this door, do you see what I circled?
Yes, because the root. Yes.
And Juliana, what does that little circle mean to you now?
Means that the floor can reflect light.
Means what?
Shade. The floor can reflect light towards the shade.
So yeah, you have the perfect combo, and this happens all the time. It's happening right there below that crane. You see that?
Yeah.
This happens all the time. Now you can put your subjects in the shade, which is not acceptable, unless you can rebuild that light back, right? You put them in the shade to clean their face and neutralize the light on their face so you don't have sunspots and so forth, right? But then you gotta build the structure of your photograph, right? And that's light. So this sunlight is going to reflect back into whoever you put here, right? So check out the difference between the first photo with all the people and take a look at this one. Look at the way my face is just glowing. You see how it's glowing there? Now this is not a professional camera. This is probably like some point and shoot thing that I told my wife. But I told her to take this picture of me here because I saw this little guy and I was just like, let's go here. And she's like, why? Blah, 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 here. You know what I mean? I stand there in the shade, all that light comes into my face, I glow. Now, how does this apply to your work? It applies every time. because you are going to be in difficult situations, like when you have to take family portraits and so forth. And if you can find a shady spot where everyone's light is clean, but then you can find a spot that has shade and some sun coming through reflecting on them, you're going to think differently now. You're going to be like, let's go here instead of there. So take a look at this now. That's the result of what that looks like.
Beautiful.
Now let me say something real quick. This photo has not been photoshopped in any way, shape, or form. This is straight out of the camera. Yet it looks like they're just, everyone, it has like a personalized light on their face or something. They're glowing. Does that make sense?
And that's from the floor?
That's from the floor. So you see how they're in shade here? What you don't see is the sun is right there. So when I was looking at where am I going to take the wedding party photos, I didn't just go to the crappy shady spot. I went to the shady spot that had the sun to reflect light back up. This is what it looked like. Now you can see it, right? This is the sun, this is the shade. To me, that's like music to my ears. I mean, I'm walking around and I'm like, shade, nothing, nothing, shade, nothing, sun, that's not going to work. Shade, oh, sun, symmetrical doors, balance. Could it be any better? So I told everybody to just get in there, and I took the photograph. Look at the sun. Look how crazy that strong sunlight is. If we could get out of the studio and go outside and you see like downtown Seattle, you're going to see buildings creating some shade in the floor, and then you're going to see the line where the sun begins, and you're going to be like, iPhone picture is going to look like Hasselblad. Does that make sense? All right. There it is. That's all I needed to see. That little doodle right there. Okay? Can you all see it happening right there too? And look, when the model comes in, look at that reflector over there. Do you see it? See the other side, right next to my friend here. What's your name, my friend? Jacob. Right next to Jacob on his right. You see that reflector? You notice I'm not calling it wood thing. I'm calling it reflector because that's really what it should be to you. It's just a reflector. So we'll put the model there. That whole light's going to bounce into that reflector. It's going to bounce back. She's going to look like a wonderful supermodel. It's going to be in a really crappy place. Just a corner of the room that nobody even thought about. Right? Let's go to this one. Okay. Why is this the most beautiful, perfect setup for a wonderful photograph? Kenna, go ahead. Just kidding. Kenna's like, no! Can anybody think, and this is tough, so just give it a shot. Why is this music to my ears? Again.
Because of the tree that can reflect
Oh my
the
gosh,
light.
exactly. What's going on with the tree?
It's a reflector.
It's a reflector. But not only that, it's triangulating the light. You have the sun is coming from here, coming into the tree. So that's line one. The reason why I say this is because we're talking about lighting through direction today. The sun hits the tree, and the tree reflects light into those little plants. Does that make sense? Now, if you look at the little plants, you see the soft shadow there that's coming out of the plant? Soft shadow means beautiful light. Harsh shadow means it's going to be exactly that. Too harsh, it's not going to work. And too soft of a shadow, that light's kind of dead. So look at the plant right here, and look at the soft shadow on the other side of that plant. Do you see that? Mm-hmm. This shadow here is the perfect softness. When the model comes out, this is a good place, and I can tell just because of the shape of the shadow. The structure of the shadow tells you, if you take a picture of anyone here, they're going to look like a master photographer took the photograph with the greatest camera in the world. Mm-hmm. Okay? So think about that. Now, if I was to put a light source and make it really harsh, the shape of this plant will be really accented on the wall, which means get away from that shadow. That's not going to work for you. That's it. Soft shadow, bingo. Harsh shadow, get away from there. Let the shadow speak to you when you're shooting. I mean, we've gone over so many of them. Here it is. This is what it looks like. That's shadow without that triangulation of the sun. So that's just straight out shadow. Do you see how poor, sad, and depressing that little plant looks? And it's a pretty plant. Don't get me wrong. I likey that plant. But it's very sad, right?
Right.
Now let's compare that light to the light with a soft shadow in the back. Ready? Look at this light.
Yeah.
That light is this light right here. Okay. Let's look at the light. Let's look at the here. You guys wonder how I practice? This is an example.
Soft.
Not very good. Not as good. Medium. Better. Does that make sense? You can just keep going. Like, let's see. Not as good as that. That's the best spot. Okay? So you start training your eyes to see these things. Which one do you like more?
The right.
Right. Right. Right, because it's the right one. It's not a very good joke. It was just kind of like third day lameness, you know, like, right. There's how it looks like. Now, in my book, Picture Perfect Practice, I show a bunch of examples where my wife and I went out for a photo shoot, and I said, don't bring reflectors, don't bring nothing, let's just make it look crazy awesome without nothing. And all I did was looking for the sun hitting a wall, the wall bouncing the light back into me. And that's kind of what I was doing. So another way you can do a little exercise is go outside for 10 minutes and look for sun hitting a wall, and then look opposing that wall, what's in the other side, and take your photo there. Just keep looking for that triangulation of light, okay? You don't need any models, you don't need any equipment, you need your iPhone, your BlackBerry, your iPad, whatever you use, and somebody, and that's it. So let's apply this on a real job when shadows speak to you. This bride is the bride that I was photographing in the fields. She was coming down the stairs with her father. I'm at the bottom of the stairs staring at her. Like, this is after 15 hours of shooting, by the way. This is like all day Indian weddings, you know what I mean? And I was looking at her, and her father was coming down. And then I noticed when she was at the top of the staircase, that perfect little soft shadow appeared on the right wall. And I was just like, oh, yes! I can take a perfectly good portrait that's gonna look like I'm awesome right there, right? So I asked her to go back upstairs after her father did her deal. And I took this photo, and I realized the shadow there was too harsh. See how the photo doesn't look quite exciting? It's just kind of there. Now, you're probably wondering why, and I can tell you right now why. It's because the direction of light, the way that light's hitting her, is creating a strong shadow, not that softness that I saw. So what the heck is going on? So I had to switch her, move her, to get that soft shadow to appear. There is us testing the light, figuring out where that shadow is. Now, do you see the shadow's a lot softer? Okay, that's us testing it. There's the shadow. That's what I like. I stood from the bottom of the stairs where I saw it, and this is the final photograph. Look at the light now. It looks really like a crazy portrait in a super nice studio. No, it was halfway in her staircase, right? But that's what that looks like. Okay, remember yesterday we spoke a lot about using the tree branches as frames? Why not using people as frames too? You can frame with people as well. You know when there's people dancing, like the bride and groom are dancing or whatever, and you have all these people dancing? Sometimes I look for everyone being around the bride, and I take a picture of just the frame of all the people, and they're like lonely by themselves. So I took that idea to a different level, and I just started thinking, in this photograph that you're gonna see soon, the father was getting ready, the two sons were right there, and I said, your boys are cute, but they're not boys to me now, they're just framing devices. And so I said, framing device number 1, framing device number 2? Please come and go to the stage. And they were like, what? My name is Tony. No, no, no. Your name is framing device number 1. You're framing device number 2. Come close, right? And let's see here. You see how sometimes when you think the shadow's right, it's not, and you have to adjust? That's what I mean. Take a look at what happens here. Perfect silhouette, Jamar. Perfect silhouette. This one. You see the flash hitting the father, so he becomes the brightest, right?
And that's where he's.
There is the 2 suns.
Let
me see. Totally straight.
1186.
Right there, right there.
1186, correct.
And that's a little weird.
You are?
Who's that?
No. Oh, okay, okay.
Mo.
Here's the photograph. So the father definitely liked it because it's emotional for him, right? He's getting married. I mean, he's not happy right there, but that's okay. He's just kind of in his mind, right? And then his kids are just right there. And it's an idea that came from the stuff around you. Framing with the tree, framing with that white thing that we saw outside. What is that? Like a little bench. Framing with that, or framing with people. I mean, if I have, let's see, Mallory, can you stand up for a sec? And let's see, Nikki stand up for a sec? And Fran, come up for a sec. So Mallory is the person I want to photograph. I want to put emphasis on her, but I don't want a flat picture. I can create depth using you guys. You guys become my depth objects. That's it. So stand right over here. Stand right over here. Now you're the background. See that blue wall right there? That's really the background, but you're going to take a step this way so I can see the black. Now you have nothing but blue in the background. Does that make sense? You're going to come over here and come here, friend, for a sec. Stand right here and keep looking this way and bring your chin to those shutters. And you are just like putting on your sweater. You're doing whatever with your hands. You're preoccupied, okay? You are preoccupied looking at Juliana. It doesn't really matter. Now what I just did, I just framed you with your faces. I'm pointing your nose towards Mallory, and I'm pointing yours in this direction. So now you have nose number 1 going this way, nose number 2 over there with Nikki going that way, and guess what? Those 2 noses, they hit. See what I'm saying? Now let's make a small mistake. Mallory's nose is going this way. Let's put Nikki's nose this way too. Now you have 2 people with the same level of importance, and the 2 noses are going in the same direction. It's distracting. So let's turn your face this way. Now it's opposing, and the attention goes right back to her. Does that make sense? I come over here. I have the blue wall in the background, right? So it's seamless in the back. And Mallory, come in and look at me. Just look straight at me. I can shoot right through you. You become the foreground. You become the middle ground. You become the background. And on top of that, I created frames. And I center the attention right to her because of your nose direction. Does that make sense? So, okay, take a seat. Thank you, thank you. Let's play a little game, shall we? When you walk into a room, and you're about to be playing this game in about 20 seconds, when you walk into a room, ask yourself these 5 small little questions. Where is the best light? And where are the chart elements? The next one is, what's the obvious shot? Do you see a fountain? Is that the obvious shot? Right? If you see a bed, what is the obvious shot? Having her lay on the bed, right? If you see a wall, what is the obvious shot? Put her against the wall. So think, what's the obvious shot so you don't do that shot, right? Third, which elements are the most dominant? And when I'm talking about elements, I'm talking about the location gifts that every place gives you. Which are the most dominant so you can concentrate your frame on just those, right? The next one is it possible to combine chart elements with the light? What does that mean? It means this. you have chart element number 1, seamless color, right? One single color, non-distracting. Good? Chart element number 2 could be, let's say there's a frame. I can use the frame of that stool thing, and I can put it, and I can use that as a frame, right? So now we have 2 elements. And those 2 elements are happening in the best light in this room, which happens to be right there. So the question is, can you combine different chart elements where the best light is? That's why the first question is, where is the best light? When you walk into a room, search the room. Where is the best light? Where is the best light? How do you find the best light?
By looking at the shadows.
By looking at the shadows. You test the softness of the shadow of elements. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So everybody always asks me in workshops, how do you find, you always talk about finding the best light. Well, how do you do that? Mm-hmm. Well, I just told you. Like, find the shadow. If the shadow looks like that plant, that's the best light, right? Mm-hmm. So let's see. And then the last one is fix the light and shoot. Like, if the best elements are happening here, but the best light is happening there, what do you do, Mallory?
Sorry, say that again.
If the best chart elements are happening right here, but the light is not good here, the best light is over there, what are your options?
You could direct the light using tools.
Correct. You can fix the light,
Yeah.
or you can go for the less interesting photo, but with a really good light, right? You can do this light photo, which would be awesome, or you can grab all the chart elements and bring that quality of light over here. You fix it. And we have been fixing photos with light all 3 days, right? Okay, let's put that to the test. Let's play the game. Here's your room. Pay attention to the room. Ask yourself, where is the best light?
On the left, by the window.
The best light is here. True?
Right.
Yes.
Okay, you're shooting a job, you walk into this room, you start to go through the 5 questions. The best light is here, you already know that. What's the obvious shot?
Put her on the bed.
Put her on the bed. Or lay her or something, right? You have her lay down on the bed. You have the bride and groom sit down there and kiss, right? Where do you see location chart elements in this room?
Reflection in the mirror.
Okay, who said that? Okay, Nikki. Element number 1, we have a mirror, which can do what?
Reflect light.
Can be a reflector for light, or it can reflect an actual person. So that's first thing. Second thing, what else do you see out of the chart elements? Here's your chart elements if you don't have it. It's right here. Pepe, my friend.
I see patterns or repetitions on the bed
Here.
frame thing.
Exactly. The back of the frame board has squares. So you're seeing geometry, patterns, and repetitions right here. So that could be a cool backdrop for something, right? Non-distracting. What's another element that you see? If you're online watching this, ask yourself this question too. Go ahead and play the same game. And if you want to go in the chat room and just type what you see, go for it. It'll be fun.
Exactly.
Go for it.
Well, there's a crazy glare from our end, but it looks like there's contrast and artwork on the wall.
Oh,
Is it-
yep. We have mirror. We have patterns and repetition on the bed. Do people see anything online? Are they saying something or not really yet?
Coal Miner 22 says pillow as a reflector.
Oh man, Smack, that's good. It's not a pillow, it's a reflector. I love it. We see painting and repetition. We see painting, we see mirror, we see bed, which is the obvious choice. We see patterns and squares right there for the frame. You see reflection. What else do you see in this mirror besides the reflection?
A potential.
Look at the mirror carefully. Look at the mirror carefully.
Geometry.
Huh?
Geometry.
Yeah, but what can you do with that? Look at that mirror. Look at it. We can use it as a reflector. We can use it as a reflective device. But what else is it giving you?
Geometry.
Yes, but what?
Frame.
The frame. This is a frame, isn't it? So basically, this is a fun game because this stuff happens in every room. I was teaching a workshop in Mexico, in Playa del Carmen, which is near Cancun. And this is where we were going to shoot the bride or whatever, or the model, because she wasn't a bride, she was just a model. And I asked the students to take their photo. All the students went straight to the painting and put her in front of the painting and took the picture, right? But we're trying to challenge ourselves to think in multi-level photography, multi-level thinking. And when I saw the room, I thought, we have a mirror, we have the painting, the best light is here. I like the painting a lot, but the light is not there, the light is here, so that's messing me up. The mirror can be a reflection, a reflector, or a framing device. We do have a reflector here. What else is there? And we have the geometry and the squares. So how do you combine it all? Anybody else in the chat room have any ideas?
Yes, there was the blinds, striped blinds. Did we talk about that?
Oh, the blinds here?
Yep.
Okay, there is blinds. What can you do with the blinds? You can close them, and then you can create all that sunlight coming into that dark room, and it becomes a contrasting opportunity, right? Let's see what we did. This is what people did, but which, by the way, this is not a bad idea. The painting is pretty cool, and they put the model on, it works, right? And that's fine, the photo's successful. But, right, we're trying to make it recession-proof, right? We're trying to make it so people have to have you, right? Most photographers would think of this, and if you show this to your clients, they'll be like, that's cool, and then move on. Here's another one. Pretty cool, right? It's showing some cool elements and so forth. Another student decided, you see how the student made the eyes go towards the short side of the photo to create tension? So that's kind of working for the photo, right? They also pose the arms in a really cool way, right? It's working out. Let's look at another person said to use the mirror. And that's pretty good, because now you're using the mirror as a reflection, and he's also framing her. And the patterns are in the background, so it creates this sense of, it's not like it's crazy red or blue, it's like a seamless, nice, creamy color, right? Then I came in, and I do what I thought was the best use of the room. The mirror, remember I say only show the gifts, don't show anything else? Well, the mirror was actually by the bathroom. The bathroom it's like an element of darkness that I don't want in the photograph. I don't want this extra weirdness going on. So I like the painting a lot. That was the thing that resounded to me. So I moved the mirror this way. So when I take the photo, it will be stuck only on the painting, and the mirror will be in the middle. And then I sat the bride down so I could reflect the squares of the bed in the background. So you see how you're putting it all together? And then the last part, I had to fix the light. The last part, I had to fix the light. The light was not good there. Especially the bride facing away from the light was a bad idea, right? But we have this thing called a flash, and you can use it, and it's like a window. So here's what came out of that. There's moving the mirror. The bride is already seated where I told her. I have this as the background. There's the flash that the guy's holding, directing it at her. And there's the photo. Cool, huh? This is cool, but if you start to break it down little by little, it becomes very doable. Does that make sense? You want to see that one more time?
I like that picture.
Sorry about that.
Awesome.
Is that cool? Different, right? Multi-layer photography is where you're thinking in different layers, okay? Which is kind of what we did yesterday, by the way. Okay, do you guys have do you see that glass door? Next to it is a little frosted glass door. Do you see that? This is the glass door. This is a frosted glass door. If you look at your location chart, one of the things says translucent surfaces, okay? Why did I even put that there? I found some pretty awesome photographs using translucent surfaces, like the veils going through the face and all these different things. So when I saw that, I said, ooh, translucent surface. That can add mystery to a photograph. It can be cool looking, but the lighting is terrible. I have to fix it, right? So I did my practice sessions beforehand on translucent surfaces. And I asked my students to put the bride behind, or the model behind the translucent surface, and they started going at it. I did that to see how long it would take for them to fix the flashlight, to see how it would hit the bride. You see what I'm saying? I mean the model. This is what they had. It's too much, right? This is what happens when we show up at a wedding. We try to be creative without practicing prior. This is what happens when you're like, well, I tried to be creative, but it took me half an hour and everybody got mad and the photo didn't even come out. Well, this is why you do it beforehand. See? This is what came out of it. Here's another one. And then I took the camera, I adjusted the flash head, remember the zoom of the head? I made it more wide angle. I pointed it up towards the roof. I used my macro lens because of the way it behaves, and this is what I got out of it. Pretty crazy, right? It looks a lot more interesting. So this is the solution of it. There is the little glass door, that's what came out of it. So it's just this constant reinforcement of looking around for these things.
So
yeah.
You just had a flash behind the model, and the glass between you and the model.
This is what I had. You can see it right there. Wireless flash, bounce for softness. There was a white ceiling here and a white wall here. So I thought if I do direct flash, it's going to give me what the student with that crazy stuff. But I can bounce the light, open the thing to 24 millimeter, like do a wide angle zoom, point the flash this way, the flash will bounce against the wall and it will bounce the light back into her face. You see that hair light? And you see the arm is laid very nicely because it's going against the roof, right? So you have to think of it this way, it comes down, and then you create this. Also don't let the face or arms touch the glass because then you have this like smush going on, right? So they were all smashing the arms on the window. I was like, you cannot appreciate the photo this way. You have to back up and try to get it this way. By the way, this little chart that you're seeing is what I keep track of when I'm doing my practice sessions. I'm like, this is the result. What did I do to get there? This is like the ingredients for this. You know the cover of my book? It's got the veil over it. That was pretty much 80% the same technique as this. The same exact technique. I used the macro, that picture of that girl's face was taken with a 100 millimeter macro. It wasn't taken with the 70-200 or the 85. It was taken with a macro because I know how it behaves because of these sessions, right? Okay. Can we bring out the models, or actually, do we have time? Yeah.
We've
Can
got
we-
about 20 minutes.
Yeah, can we bring them out, you think?
Sure.
Or at least one of them?
Can we bring out a model, please? Okay, we have 2 models.
Hello. How are you guys? Katie? Tyson. Mike Tyson, baby. Okay, you guys, you can come in, and I don't know if you can have a seat or something. I don't know if there's a chair or something. Okay, guys. Let's take a look at Katie's face for a second. Do you all see her very carefully? Pretty nice, right? Look at Katie. Beautiful, right? We're going to make her look not beautiful by changing the angle we photograph her at. Okay? We're also going to make her look really beautiful by altering the angle just a tad according to her face and bone structure. Does that make sense? So, Katie, go ahead and take a seat. I don't know where you want, but there's seats right there if you want. Yeah, now my friend Tyson's a good-looking man, right? We're going to make him look very unattractive really fast. You'll see how. Yay! How are you guys doing? Okay. Let me show you what's going to happen. Does she look pretty? She's nice, right? It's a nice photograph of her. She had just given birth about 2 or 3 months before this picture was taken, and she still had a lot of like that baby fat coming out, fat from the baby or whatever. And she was trying to postpone the photo shoot for 5 months afterwards because she wanted to look good and express her, be the best she could look, the best she could be. I told her, I saw her, we were doing Skype. She flew me from Arizona to shoot the wedding, to Arizona to shoot this photograph. I said, I can see your face right now. I know exactly how to photograph your body and everything. You don't have to worry about your face looking chubby because of the baby fat. She's like, no, let's postpone. I was like, no, we're not postponing. I practice at home. I'm ready to go. And she's like, whatever. So we flew out there. And she said when I got there that she had these magazine cutouts from, Victoria's Secret magazine cutouts. And the poses that she was using were not going to be good for her face structure. And I said to her, okay, you don't want to tell her, a person, you don't have the face for that. She's a model, you're not. You don't say that. So I just said, okay, we'll take them. Do you mind if I make a few adjustments? She's like, yeah, but can we take it still like this? I was like, sure. I love it when people tell me what to do. I just love it. You know what I mean? So we took her first photograph, and that's my interpretation of a photo that without hiding her baby fat and all these different things. But then I changed the angle just ever so slightly, just to mess her up big time. And look what happens when you just don't look at the angle correctly of the face. This is all the execution part of the course. Look at the difference. It's a lot wider, isn't it?
Yeah.
She doesn't even look like the same person. Look at this again. That looks like a model from a Victoria's Secret catalog. This looks like I don't know what I'm doing. And it all has to do with lighting through direction. If you look at this execution chart, it says right there, lighting through directions, and it says beauty through angles and perspective through lenses. All those 3 things have to happen to create that and make it look like this. Here's another one of those. This is the magazine shot she wanted to take. Not a good idea. When I saw that whole hair being pulled out and how the light would hit her, I said, this is not going to be good for you. But let's take the photo anyway, because she wanted it. Then I asked her if we can just adjust the perspective through lens, the lighting through direction, and beauty through angles. And she says, what are you going to do? I want to do it with a wall. And I said, no. Stay on the wall, but look at the bone structure that she has and make adjustments according to that bone structure with the angle that you shoot her from. Does that make sense? And how the light hits her. This is not lighting through direction. This is flat light in her face. If you photograph my good friend Katie here with flat light in her face, she's not going to look very attractive. We'll totally try it right now. But then when we hide part of her face and we shoot her and we start angling the light and the angle of the lens, she's going to look like, whoa, okay? So take a look at this. Now let's take a look at the adjustments done. Totally different person, right? I want you to try after this break to photograph Katie and Tyson, and I want you to purposely deconstruct the photo instead of build it. You're gonna crash it. Because by crashing it, your brain will remember what not to do a lot better than what to do. Does that make sense? How about this one? How does that look?
Same person?
No, different person.
Oh, okay.
Does that look great?
No.
No.
The light's kind of coming in flat, right, into her face. It's not looking too good. She has issues, right? Mm-hmm. Even though she's a beautiful person, this is not a good angle on her. So when people say, oh, Roberto, you take all these good photos because all your models and brides are so freaking beautiful. And I'm like, no. I make them look beautiful. Because this is what happens when you don't get the angle right, and this is what happens when you do get the angle right. Same person, 2 minutes later, same chair she was sitting in. Didn't even move the chair. I just moved the angle of the chair, and I moved myself, but that's the same person. Pretty crazy. Do we have any questions from the audience right now?
We do have questions. I guess one of the questions that came up was from Katie Yushka, and they were asking about taking multiple photos in a location. When you see like the best shot, the question is, would Roberto not take multiple shots in a location? Would he just stick to the best shot? Or are you looking for like tiered as far as good shots? Are you looking for the best shot and then the next best shot?
No,
like how far down do you go?
I mean, the photos we did yesterday of Kisia, the model yesterday, remember with the purple tree in the background? I showed 3 different models, right? 3 different angles of the same person, and they all looked very different. So instead of taking the best shot and then the next best and the next best, just take 3 really good ones. Just change the perspective and so forth. Perspective of where you stand makes a big difference in how you shoot. For example, can I borrow you, Katie, for a second? Most of us take our photographs from I'm 6 feet tall. So I take most of my photographs from a 6-foot perspective, right? So I'm photographing her this way. If she sees herself in my photo with this perspective, she'll be used to it. Even if she looks beautiful, she'll be used to it. It's the same type of look she has seen since she was 2 years old. Does that make sense? Everybody has always photographed her like this, like this, like this, like this, from the perspective of an adult looking into it. If you have her lean down and you photograph her from a down perspective or from a different perspective, you're going to change the whole look altogether. Every time you photograph a building, it's going to look like this. This is the perspective we all do. You stand in front of the building, and you take a picture in front of it, and that's the building. Thank you, Katie. That's good. Right? That's the building. But look what happens here. To get people to have a shock value to your photos, change the perspective. Perspective in the execution chart. Take a look at this. This is the church. I was going to photograph a wedding there the next day, and I saw a bunch of tourists taking the picture from the same perspective. So I always ask myself, what if I was a bird flying by? What would this look like? Or I ask myself, what if I was a little Chihuahua dog? Like if I was looking up from a 1-foot perspective, what would that look like, right? And this is what happens. This is the bird's perspective flying through. That looks more interesting. But look at the plants. You see the little plants right there? You see those little guys? Those guys are repetitions, right? Like they repeat themselves. And if I change my angle just a little bit, I can make them into leading lines. Look what happens. Doop. See how they're leading now? So now your eye goes right to the church, right? And now I have a much more interesting perspective that people are not used to seeing. This is the shock value that comes from offering your clients something that they're not used to. This is the final photograph I took in the same location. Now I can probably, I'm not sure, I cannot say this for sure, but most likely, most wedding photographs that have been taken in front of this church were taken from the very first picture I took. And most likely they were just kissing. Right? What's the saying? Kiss, hug, kiss, fountain. Kiss, hug, kiss, fountain. I see the fountain. Or you can also say kiss, hug, kiss, fountain, gazebo. That's the other popular one. Like, oh, gazebo, everybody. Right? Let's go to the gazebo. Oh, Pepe, no. No, Pepe. All right, guys. Let's break for lunch. Let's see if we have any questions first.
Yep.
And then we'll break for lunch. And then we'll start actually doing the photo shoot of you guys putting all this lighting execution into practice. So you have your cameras, right? You have your gear and everything. So we'll go and start photographing Tyson and Katie, and we'll have a really good time. Okay?
And we're going to see them look, you're going to make them look
Yeah, we're purposely going to make them
terrible
look
and
bad.
look amazing.
I bet that's what you guys signed up for,
Yeah.
right?
Something to look forward to.
We do.
No, we'll make them you look good too, but we'll first do the bad shots. Yeah. That's right.
We do have a couple more questions.
Okay.
And the first one is from Kelly with Just Stay. How many shots do you usually take in a session, and what percentage do you use? So curious with all of the practice that you've done.
At a job, like at a wedding, I don't photograph that much. I'm pretty selective when I push my shutter button. I for sure do not use the machine gun style of photography because you just cannot produce good work like that. I probably shoot about 700 to 900 photos per wedding, and that includes everything, reception, everything. And I probably give the bride somewhere between 300 and 500. And out of those 300, 298 are pretty darn good. Does that make sense? So when you have the album, it's not like every photo they flip through is like gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. That's gonna blow their mind. And I tell them in the initial client meeting to set the expectations right, because clients think the higher the number, the more value they're getting. So it's all about how you set them up, okay? I tell them, you're not getting quantity from me. You're just gonna get really great photographs from me. You're gonna get about 300, and they're all gonna be pretty darn good. And you're not, I even tell them, and you're not gonna like a lot of them too, because you're a person. I'm sure Katie has an angle that she likes more than another angle. And we can photograph her, and she can look beautiful, but Katie will be like, I hate this angle, and that I just can't stand it, right? So no matter what you give them, it's better to kind of keep it toned down. They see your work already. Keep the expectations toned down, and then blow them out of the water. You see what I mean? So yeah.
So a third, you give them a third of the shots that you take. You said you take 900.
Yeah, give them about a third to a half.
Okay, that's awesome. All right, next question is from LCP. How do you know the best angle according to face bone structure? What's the relation, and are there specific rules?
Of course, there's always. Looking at Katie right now, just everybody in the world takes a look at her really fast. Yay, Katie, you're being watched by a lot of people. You look at Katie's bone structure. Turn left real quick. You see how she's got a really sharp bone structure? In other words, using flat lighting or more broad lighting on her is going to make her face a little more round. Now, if you take light away from one side, it's going to start shaping her face. What you don't want to do with her is use sharp lighting techniques, because she already has a sharp face. So don't over sharpen it. Does that make sense? Whenever people show up with really defined jawlines and really refined, you can show that jawline, but you don't have to make them look like sharp skeletons, right? If you have a Chinese person or someone who has like a broad, rounder face, don't broad light them. That's when you close the curtain and you sharp light them. You do the opposite. Look at his jawline right there. Look at the cheekbones. I mean, I can see them even, they just like stand out. What I would give, by the way, to have a jawline like that. The problem is, you know, I keep eating the wrong things, and you know, I'm 35. And how old are you, man?
23.
See, when I was 23, I was like on fire too. So you just wait, brother. You just wait. When I was 23, I was like a marathon runner, jawline, six pack. Now it's like little chunkies and. He already has a pretty sharp jawline, so you can light it up. You have more options, right? What you don't want to do is make the sharp bones look even sharper by cutting the light in the wrong places. She's got the same type of thing going on with the jaw. So we'll experiment, okay? Next question.
Well, I think it's time we can go to lunch.
Okay.
Could you tell us again what we'll be doing in the next half of the day?
So now we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to put lighting through direction, simplicity through subtraction, beauty through angles, and perspective through lenses. We're going to have the live audience photograph them with the wrong lenses, at the wrong angles. We're going to try to make them look the worst possible by using these tools, and then we're going to start rebuilding the photograph and start shaping their faces correctly and making them look really good. So the students will be doing a lot of photo shoot after this. And then we're going to end with how to go about practice sessions and how to develop them, how to build them, how to go about them, and how to learn from them the most at the end. So it's going to be a good one.
Will there be fruit?
There will be fruit.
Awesome.
There will be lots of fruit.
People were wondering if you were really going to bring the fruit. So folks, there will be fruit.
There will be.
So we are going to take a 45-minute break, and wanted to let you know that we have, if you are in the Seattle area, we have a couple of opportunities that we are still looking for people to come and be in our studio audience. Lisa Snyder is coming to teach 3 days of Photoshop deep dives, and she's going to cover just one topic per day and really go into the heart of it. So if you want to be in our audience, we're going to drop those links in the chat room right now, or you can go find that on our blog, I think, or somewhere on Facebook, maybe. In addition to that, we have John Gringo is coming to Creative Live to do another one of his fast start workshops where he takes a camera and essentially is your little guide for the camera. You don't have to read the hundreds of pages of your manual. And he's doing a class on the Canon T4i. So come be in our studio audience and go and look in the chat room right now as to how to sign up for those. And wanted to read off a couple of things, or just let you know that this has truly been an unbelievable workshop, Roberto. As we like to say, the internet is loving you. And not just the content, but also your teaching methods. So cool. If you all are valuing what you're learning here, please let Roberto know by going to our Facebook page and writing him a little thank you note. We have tons of thank you notes already, but it's a really great way for Roberto to be able to go back and see, you know, not just what you're writing in the chat rooms right now, but all these comments. And I think it really makes a difference, because that's why you are here.
Plus, when I'm having a sad day, I can look and
right.
cheer me up.
Right, exactly.
Like, oh, this person likes me.
Exactly. So Sachi Villarreal says, one of the best workshops I've ever attended, online or offline.
Wow.
So
very
that's
cool.
Awesome.
And I'll just give you my thank you right now, since I'm here. Honestly, you're opening my eyes in ways that I haven't seen before. There's something about your teaching style that is, it's registering with me. So I really appreciate that. I don't know, something about the way he's, you know, it's processing in my mind, so I appreciate that. And I can't wait to get my hands on this location posing and execution guide. Yeah. I haven't actually had it in my hands, so I'm looking forward to working with that.
Give it to you later.
Yeah, thank you. And I will be watching this course again. That location posing and execution guide does come with the course if you purchase the course. And I don't know what to say. I think that you guys need this course in order to improve your photography. So scroll down the course page and buy it now while we're at break.